Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Amma Sambuddhassa. Venerable Chief Reverend, Venerable Sirs, friends and children in the Dhamma, good evening and welcome for our Saturday Dhamma talk. We are continuing the series based on the 37 factors of enlightenment. So far we have explained the 4 Satipatthanas, or the 4 foundations of mindfulness. We have completed that 4 factors of mindfulness. Today we are moving to the second section, second category of these 37 factors, which is called Sammappadhāna, right striving, right effort. Prior to the explanation of the contents of the right effort, let's think about the effort that the Buddha practiced, gave clear examples with his own life and its strivings, and how his followers, enlightened disciples of Buddha, borrowed this practice to their lives for the fulfillment of their desired goals. Effort can be both for the good, for the bad. Therefore, it can be samma vayama, right effort, miccha vayama, wrong effort. Wrong effort is to do an unwholesome deed, which eventually will drive that person into perdition, into hell, which drive him, persuade him to create suffering for others. A thief will plan to steal something valuable. Value of the object that he is going to steal, when it becomes higher and higher, greater and greater the value of the object that he is going to steal, the effort that he has to put into that act of stealing is greater. He may have to plan for months, years prior to the real act of stealing. He may have to maintain such a strong effort in that act of stealing. So the effort is there, but to do something unwholesome. So anything unwholesome to achieve, if you put an effort, that effort is miccha vayama, the wrong effort, which will create more suffering for that person here and hereafter. So the samma vayama, the right effort, this right effort also has to be distinguished from the effort that we maintain in our lives in the form of desire for becoming, We all know that the desire is in triple form, as the desire for sensual pleasures, kama tanha, desire for becoming, bhava tanha, and desire for annihilation or destruction, vibhava tanha. This bhava tanha, desire for becoming to higher and higher status in the life, is all what we have. To create a greater ego within us, to become somebody from nobody, to go higher and higher status, to satisfy the ego, is something that all of the humanity is engaged upon. We are in such a great desire to be somebody, to go higher status. So we put effort. Deeper, the greater our determination, our grit, our sacrifice, our patience, our understanding, our endurance for the pain, for the misery, discomforts, and the persistent effort to work day by day for that desired goal is actually based on this bhava tanha, desire for becoming. For years, we will put so much of effort to achieve a one particular goal. Of course, we know deeper or greater our effort is, higher the goal we achieve. To achieve a lower status, lower goal, you don't need much of an effort within you. Collecting pebbles or seashells is something that anybody can do. But to collect a precious gem, you have to put so much of effort to dig deeper and deeper levels of the earth. And the people who can dig the deepest gains the best of the gems, the most precious gems. Some people, they start digging to find gems, and they are satisfied with the gems in the upper level of the earth. Those gems they find closer to the surface are not so valuable. Most of the people are satisfied with those gems. They are not ready to go deeper levels because they know the sacrifice also much. The pain they have to endure is much. The obstacles that arise also much. And they are not ready to maintain that effort with that much of commitment, persistent, and endurance. They are not ready for it. So they are gaining also very little, not so valuable. The gems they find are not so precious. And there are certain individuals who are ready who are willing to bear all the discomforts. They are ready to burn midnight oil for many days, for any days. They are ready to sacrifice themselves for the most precious gems. And they dig deeper. They find those precious gems. It is not just luck. Most precious gems are hidden underneath the lowest levels of the earth. Your luck is there to find those gems, but if you don't have that effort, who is going to dig? Who is going to dig deeper, dig to those deeper levels? Those gems will not come onto the surface and hand over themselves to you just because you have luck. You have to dig deep. To dig deep, you must possess such a strong effort. Anybody can become a clerk in a company. Thousands would apply for that position, but it is rare. It is just a few who has achieved the qualifications of a CEO. Only a few had the capacity to sacrifice themselves to achieve that status. The effort for that higher becoming is the supportive factor behind in our lives. Buddha says, in this worldly existence, the highest position one can achieve is becoming a universal monarch, Chakravarti Raja, universal monarch, or literally, wheel-turning monarch, Chakravarti Raja, wheel-turning monarch. He is the universal monarch who rules the entire world. And to become the king of gods and Brahmins, gods and Brahmas. These are the highest secular positions one can attain in this worldly existence. But are they forever? Are these universal monarchs will exist as they are forever? Are these gods are going to exist there, enjoying bliss and joy forever? They are just temporary, comfortable, luxurious positions, or temporary elevated positions. Nobody is going to be forever anywhere in this world system. Neither the heaven nor the hells are permanent. They are both impermanent. So though you become the king of men, or though you become the king of gods, you are never going to be the king forever. Once the meritorious power, the wholesome power that enriched you, that empowered you to that position is over, you are bound to fall back. Fall back to a lower degree, to a lower life. So nothing is forever. One day the Buddha, he was having a walk, not just alone. Behind was his disciple, his attendant, Venerable Ananda. On his walk, Buddha happened to see a pig. When he saw this pig, he just smiled. Seeing the Buddha smiling, after seeing a pig, Venerable Ananda asked him, Bhagavan, any reason for you to smile after seeing a pig? Buddha said, Ananda, look at this pig. In her past life, she was in the realm of Brahmas. She was a Brahma in a Brahma realm. And when she was passing away, departing from that Brahma realm, unexpectedly arose a certain unwholesome energy that she had deposited within her. And that unwholesome energy brought her down to the level of pigs, brought her down to the perdition of animal realm. From Brahma realm to the animal realm. Gods fall from their grace to the hell. It is not forever. Hence, whatever position, upgraded or degraded, you receive in this continuous process of samsara, wheel of becoming, wheel of birth and death, they are just temporary situations. Nothing is forever. So in this Buddha's vision, no elevated position is something that he can appreciate, approve, or congratulate. Because no matter how higher the position you get, how comfortable, how luxurious your life become, you did nothing for the continuous suffering in this big picture, in this vast picture called samsara. The samsara remains. Continuity remains. But with that comfortable, luxurious life, for the time being, you will forget the eternal nature of suffering in this wheel of becoming, wheel of birth and death. But the suffering persists, suffering continues. In the Buddha's vision, higher stages in the secular, in the worldly existence is not something to be complimented. What is to be complimented is the stages, are the stages that you attain in your process of moving out from this cycle of birth and death, from this recurring cycle of becoming. If you are to take a step out of it, even the first step out of this cycle of birth and death is something commendable. That's why in the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, Pathauya ek rajjena saggas gamanenava sabbalokaadipaccena sotapatti palam varam. From the soul's sovereignty over the world, or from going to heaven, from lordship over the whole world, the fruit of entering the stream is best. So then becoming the universal monarch, or being born in one of the heavens, or becoming the king of heavens, the best is attaining to the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, the stream entry. The simple reason is, once you attain to the stream entry, become Sotapanna, you have thwarted, you have stopped any journey to the perdition, to the hell. Your rebirths will be confined maximum up to 7 lifetimes, and those lifetimes too would be limited to the sensuous, blissful realms, Kama, Sugati, Bhumi. You will never leave this body to go to hell when you become Sotapanna. Only with the Sotapanna, there is this security, there is this assurance that one would never be born in hell. Not after becoming a king of men or king of gods. They are just temporary complementaries for your virtuousness, for your beautiful, virtuous, developed, noble qualities. Sansara giving you the highest elevated position, but it is not forever. Once your positive karma is over, we do not know what kind of karmic deposits are there within us. As long as this sankhara, the accumulations, the deposits last in us, we are bound to pay back, bound to return the favor for those karmic deposits. So we do not know. There is no assurance what kind of life we are going to gain as our next life, because it happens in a random choice. That's why Buddha very clearly said, Achinteyo, unthinkable, unimaginable is the way the karma works. It is not something we can come to a conclusion. It is not something we have some predictions. It is unimaginable, unpredictable. It is something happen in a random way, in a random choice. So therefore, right effort also divided into two: the worldly manner, worldly way of right effort, and the spiritual or the supramundane way of right effort. The right effort to achieve worldly goals are not complemented by Buddha, because those efforts to achieve the worldly secular goals are the expressions of our desirous mind, are the expressions of our desire for becoming bhavatanha. So the right effort in the authentic Buddhist teaching is directed to get out of this wheel of becoming, not becoming higher and higher in this wheel of becoming, but getting out of it. I'm not going to talk the 4 kinds of right effort in this talk, but just have a look at the Buddha, the way he had the effort. From the very beginning of his spiritual life, at the age of 29, he renounced. He left his household life. Do you think it was easy for him? When he saw the 4 premonitions, the old man, the sick man, the dead body, and the monastic, a monk, he had this grit. No matter how luxurious my life is, one day, me, myself, and all the rest of the people I love are going to become sick, old, and die. For the time being, we are here forgetting all the disasters ensuing, looming in the horizon. I must find a solution. That was his grit. That was his determination. But this determination to be activated, to work upon, he had to have a great effort in him. Because the obstacles around him, the people who loved him, really loved him, they sacrificed so much for him, and they had so much of expectations on him. His beloved father, his wife, the son just born, and the people who love him, adore him, respect him. He has to leave all these people behind and go alone. He was persistently putting his concentration, putting his mind on this journey. Yeah, that is his effort. And he went to the forest, because forest was the place where people looking for the spirituality, not at home. At home, they are looking for material wealth. But in the forest, there were hermits prior to him practicing. So renounced, and he went to those monastics, went to those ascetics who have been practicing before him, and became their disciples. And they taught him their meditation techniques. And Bodhisattva, Gautama Bodhisattva, put his best effort to each of those teachers and achieve the goals of those teachers, what they have achieved. He gave his genuine effort, virya, for each and every teacher to achieve what he has achieved. And teacher after teacher, he moved on, went on. And he found no teacher has found the ultimate liberation. Some have been distracted, gone astray, gone in the wrong direction. They are hopeless, useless. Not with hypothetical thinking, but with his own experience, he understood some has gone astray. And some have gone in the right direction, but to the middle, not to the end. They have stopped with the achievements that they got on the way, not at the goal. They have been developing concentration, and he achieved their achievements, the same achievements that they got in their concentration, he achieved. But he understood it is not the end. And since no meditation teacher could guide him to achieve liberation, then he shifted himself to the famous practice at that time, which is called the extreme self-mortification, Atta Kilamatanu Yoga. He opted into this practice and he practiced until literally he becomes a skeleton on the verge of death. He was about to die. But his perseverance, but his effort is not dying. He's so strong, but his body is so decayed, so weakened because months and months of no nutriments, lack of nutriments, his body was dying. Then Mara, the evil one, it says, appeared in front of him. And in the pretext of helping the Bodhisattva, assuming a false compassionate tone, he asked the Bodhisattva, "You are lean and deformed. Near to you is death. Please live on. Eat. You can do merits. Stop your perseverance. Stop your practice." Then the Bodhisattva, being in that emaciated, weakened position, he said, "Better for me is death in the battle than that one should live unvanquished. It is better to die in the battleground by trying to be enlightened than living defeated." So this was his effort. He was ready to sacrifice his life for it. Either Nibbana or death. No desire for the life. The two options are Nibbana or death. To achieve the highest position of spirituality by himself, he had to maintain such a great effort, a deep effort that no other human being could maintain in this history of humanity. Not for becoming a king or not for invading a country, not for any worldly goal, but for spiritual liberation. He gains nothing, but he loses everything with this goal, with this achievement. What I meant is he loses everything material, everything worldly to achieve the supramundane goal, but he was ready to sacrifice. So he practiced to the extreme level of tormenting physically, but he found physical tormentation is not giving him any solution for the problem of absolute liberation. Then he opted himself, changed himself into the practice that he assumed, thought himself that as should be the correct one. Because he had tested, personally experienced all the known techniques at that time in India, all the known techniques of spirituality, and he found none of those techniques is capable of giving him the expected result of permanent liberation from suffering, from misery. So he found this technique himself as in a form of assuming, and he decided to sacrifice fully on this technique. It is called the middle path. And again, he put his effort totally onto this technique as the last resort for the enlightenment. And you can see that the way he jumped into this practice totally, at the risk of his own life, sacrificing every strength, every ounce of strength he has. He jumped totally into this practice. The way he sat down under the Bodhi tree on the eve of his enlightenment, he made a firm determination, a strong grit, and he said, let my skin, nerves, and bones waste away. Let my lifeblood dry up. I will not abandon this posture until I have obtained perfect enlightenment. Exactly, he is sacrificing his life for the enlightenment. And for any reason, if he couldn't become enlightened while practicing in that posture, he could have died there. He could have passed away in that, under the Bodhi tree without becoming enlightened, but he would not move out. He would not get out. That kind of effort. It was there in the Buddha. After his enlightenment, he tried his best to persuade his disciples, his followers, to attain to the stages of liberation in the easy manner or hard way. Why? There are two ways. Because some of his disciples, they have been practicing in their past lives, fulfilling the spiritual requirement for Nibbana. For them, sometimes a sentence of Buddha's teaching was enough to come to the first stage of sainthood. The Dhamma just came into their lives with a one sentence, with a one sutta, with a one teaching. Because their spiritual development was almost onto the top. One wake-up call was enough from Buddha for them to wake up. Like Venerable Sariputta. When he heard this stanza, Ye Dhamma Hetu Pabhava Te Sang Hetu Tathagato Aha Te Sang Chayo Nirodho Evam Vadi Mahasamano. The first line of this stanza was enough. First line, Ye Dhamma Hetu Bhavava. It says that first line was enough for Venerable Sariputta. At that time, the Assaji, young man, Brahmin Assaji, it was enough for him to attain Sotapanna. After that, after a few weeks, he attained to Arahanthood, to liberation, by listening to a Dhamma talk given to his cousin Diganaka by Buddha. While he was listening to that Dhamma talk, he got enlightened. And when the Buddha gave his first sermon, first Dhamma talk, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, while the Dhamma talk was giving, while this sermon was giving, Venerable Kondanya, at that time the Brahmin or ascetic Kondanya, attained to Sotapanna. Imasmin cha panaveya karanasmin bhanyamane ayasmato Kondanyas virajang vitamalang Dhammacakkum udapadi. The eye of the Dhamma opened for him. Imasmin cha panaveya karanasmin bhanyamane. While Buddha was clarifying, explaining this Dhamma for them. These are the people with parami. And of course, we cannot forget the fastest monk to become an Arahant. Venerable Daruchirya. It was just a one stanza of the Buddha. While he was on his arms round the Buddha, this man came to him, interrupted his arms round, and begged him to teach Dhamma. They said, look, man, I am on the way for my food, for my alms. You wait. In the evening, I will teach you. But this Darucharya was so insisting. He persuaded the Buddha to teach Dhamma on the spot, on the road. And when Buddha taught this Dhamma, he just sat there, closed his eyes. Within few minutes, he got enlightened. And there were such students who got enlightened in such an easy and fast manner. But at the same time, there were monks, though they entered into the Buddha's ministry with such a devotion, with such a zeal, enthusiasm to get enlightened. They had to work so hard for months, years, sometimes decades, sometimes until the end of their lives. They had to work hard. They had to persist in maintaining their effort. But they achieved the goal. Nobody died disappointed. Nobody died dejected after such a practice, such a lengthy practice. They achieved to a certain higher stages in the supramundane. For this persistence, for this effort, one of the most beautiful and sad example is Venerable Chakupal. Young man, he got ordained. And Lord Buddha gave him Kammatthana, the field of action, Kammatthana, for meditation. And he went into a suitable location for his practice. When he entered into that room, the first thing he did was remove the bed out of the room, because he had this determination: until I attain enlightenment, until I become an arahant, I will not sleep. I will not sleep until I become an arahant. Such a grit, such a determination. And he started practicing. After a few days, his eyes starts hurting, tears flowing for no reason, eyes becoming red, and he's persisting, he's continuing. His eyes started hurting so much, he had to see a doctor, a physician. The doctor said, Bhante, you better sleep, or else I warn you, you are going to be blind. Better have some sleep. Better have some rest. After the doctor gone, Venerable Chakupala thought, I might have seen this world for countless lifetimes. I might have had eyes in many lifetimes, but the wisdom eye, the panya, chakku panya, the wisdom eye is not something I have ever gained. It doesn't matter whether I go blind or not. I will not stop my meditation. I will not stop my effort. And he started practicing, continued his practicing. By the end, he got enlightened and he got blind. Such a strong effort for enlightenment, for Nibbana. And this is just a singular example. There were countless number of monks during the Buddha and after the Buddha were practicing like that, putting the best effort for enlightenment. In Ceylon, in Sri Lanka, there was this incident, 3 monks. After the ordination, they went into practice in association of a village. The village is important for the food, for the survival. And they are practicing and going for alms round in the village. Villagers got to know them. They became friendly. And monks found their lives are becoming a little bit busy because of the villagers. These villagers looking for spiritual guidance, assistance, blessings from these monks. Since monks are depending on the villagers, they cannot refuse also. But they thought, we did not become monks for these reasons, for these things. We became monks for enlightenment. Better give up all this. And they come to the conclusion, they come to the common agreement. We should leave all these for our enlightenment. There was a rock nearby, which is very difficult to climb up or climb down. It is impossible to climb up without a ladder. Once you climb up without ladder, you cannot climb down. So all these monks made a ladder and climbed to the top of the rock. Then they pushed that ladder down. If we are to go down, it is to go down with our psychic powers. It means we have to be enlightened. Then only we can go down. And they start practicing, continuously practicing. They put their best effort. Of course, 2 of them, one became enlightened, the other became an anagami, but the other 2 monks, they couldn't attain any supramundane state. They passed away there. One who became an arahant, with his psychic powers, he went out and went for alms round and brought food for these other friends. And he said, my friends, please eat. I brought food for you. But the monks who are still practicing, they refused. We will eat with our own alms round when we got enlightened. They practiced until their death. The ones who couldn't become enlightened or attain to the stages of sainthood, stages of supramundane, they were reborn in heavenly realms. So likewise, Buddha in his life as an enlightened bodhisattva, maintained such a great effort for his enlightenment. This is one of the strongest supportive factor for his enlightenment, without which he could have never achieved. And he included this great effort as Sammappadhāna. It is there in 4 manners we are going to explain in our next talk as supportive factors that anyone who aspired to be enlightened should be developing. For his disciples, those enlightened disciples of the past, they were committing fully into their practice with the maintenance of this effort. That's what we were talking in this talk. That's enough for today. Let's share all these merits together with our departed ones and with the deities. May they all be rejoiced with our merits. With these aspirations, let's share. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu loka sasanam. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu mam paranti. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkharoga bhaya vera soka sabbe upaddava anekantaraya pivinasantu ca tejasa jaya siddhi dhanang labang satti bhagyan sukham balang siriyayu ca vanno ca bhogang uddhi ca yasava tatavassa ca ayu ca jiva siddhi bhavantu te ayurarogya sampatti Sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate saminjatu. Sadhu, sadhu.